I'm going to wait till you're on the air, and then I'm going to have one.
You better. I had to wait 25 minutes for these donuts. That's why I was late today. Because he always tells me,
I ate one donut.
we're paying for those donuts.
Right.
Well, then I go and wait for them for 30
Right.
minutes, and we have to rush and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
You did. The problem is, using a coupon, you can't order it through the app.
Yeah. Well, they don't even have a coupon. They don't even have a coupon.
Welcome to the Goatee Sports Page. Coming to you live from the Blue Tick Tavern in Maryville and 105.1 FM. Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Bringing you the best in local sports since 1978. Featuring the Greenfield Gunner, Mike Edwards. Former Maryville Scot, Donnie Moore. Former UT coach, Ray Trail. From the Daily Times, Marcus Fitzsimmons. And Troy Provo Heron.
Hello, everybody, and greetings from the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. I'm Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, along with Donnie Moore, Troy Provo Heron, Marcus Fitzsimmons, and Coach Ray Trail. And this is the Goatee Sports Page. The Tennessee Vols will try to regroup after the Georgia setback, and we're going to the whistle blows. And now let's set today's lineup card, sponsored by Blunt Partnership. It's the University of Tennessee Sports Report, sponsored by the Cherokee Group, followed by the Klein Dental Arts SEC Notebook, with volunteer football coaching legend Ray Trail, Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo Heron, and veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons. Today, our crew looks back at the Vols game with Georgia, and then we'll spring forward to the upcoming matchup against the Missouri Tigers. Donnie Moore will announce high school scores from around the area, and then mark it down with Marcus Fitzsimmons, sponsored by Mandy B. Street Realty. Features Maryville High School boys basketball. Head coach Wes Lambert will be in the house. Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo Heron unveils the Anderson Lumber Company High School Player of the Week, as Alcoa girls basketball will be on the agenda. Tornado head mentor David Bauman will join Troy. Donnie Moore and the panel discuss sports headlines from around the country before the Tennessee Smoky Spotlight shines on the latest from the college football playoff rankings, with some of the top games from across the country thrown in. And finally, the panel gives their Shelter Insurance college football predictions for the week. And now it's time for the UT Sports Report, sponsored by the Cherokee Group and the Klein Dental Arts SEC Notebook, featuring former UT football coach Ray Trail, Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo-Heron, and veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons. This past Monday, and before we get to some football, let's talk a little bit about volunteer basketball, which fired up last week. This past Monday, the Tennessee Vol basketball team opened their 2022-23 campaign against Tennessee Tech, and the number 11 ranked Volunteers took care of the Eagles 75-43. Troy Provo-Heron, you were over at Thompson-Boling Arena. Your impressions of the Vols in their first outing of the season?
Yeah, first half looked like a team that had beaten, Michigan State and beaten Gonzaga in exhibition games and thought, who cares? It's Tennessee Tech. I mean, Tennessee Tech's one of the worst teams in the country and played really bad in that first half. I wouldn't say really bad. Offense couldn't buy a shot, but defense played really well, and defense continued to play really well in the second half. Offense got better in the second half, and it was as convincing as it should have been.
Yeah, and tomorrow they're going to have a little stiffer test. Colorado will be on the agenda. That's a 2 p.m. start. ESPN will have the game, and that game's going to be played in Nashville in Bridgestone Arena. Why are they playing on a neutral site? What's the purpose of that?
Why not?
Well, why? I don't
It was
know
a-
why.
it was
we
a-
not.
It's
It was,
that
it was a
time of
contract. They played at Colorado, they played at Tennessee, and now they're
Okay.
playing
Okay,
neutral.
gotcha.
It's that time of year, Mike, because we played on an aircraft carrier yesterday, and we played
I
on
get
Milwaukee Brewers Field yesterday,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and we're going to play on the beach somewhere today, huh? Yeah. Okay. Hey, the Lady Vols, number 5 in the country, were beaten in their opener at number 14 Ohio State, 87-75 this past week. And Troy, really, the big story here is, they shot 48% from the floor, and they out-rebounded Ohio State 40-30. But my golly, they turned the ball over 29 times, and that'll do you in most games.
I don't understand how a team plays as well as they did in the first half. You come out in the second half, and you get outscored 30-13 in the third quarter, and while doing so, I mean, you might as well have just inbounded the ball and given it to the closest player next to you and tell them to lay it in. That's a coaching error, and there's nothing else to put it on. That loss falls solely on Kelly Harper for not being able to get her team reined in, and this has been a problem of hers since she took the job. Turnovers have been a big issue. You'd like to think with as well as they have recruited, as well as they have gotten kids from the transfer portal, that the coaching would reach up to that level to where you could not turn it over 30 times in big important games, and that has not been the case. And so now you kind of have to sit here and figure out what's going on there.
Yeah. Jordan Horston had 20 points in that effort, and Jasmine Powell had 19 points. And then they regrouped and beat UMass 74-65 over at Thompson-Boling. But Marcus, the big story was Horston got hurt in that game. I don't know how serious it is. I don't think it's real serious. They say she's day to day right now, so evidently it's not quite as serious as they might have believed it to be initially. But 18 turnovers again.
well, 18 turnovers was concerning, but the bigger thing was they got out-rebounded. There were 90 missed shots in that game, and they just did not come away with their share of them. And against a smaller opponent, and when you've got supposedly 2 of the best rebounders in women's college basketball, and you can't win the battle of the boards, that's a concern.
Yeah. Macria Jackson, 24 points. That's Donnie. That's a transfer from Mississippi State.
So that helped certainly.
Yeah, she picked up the slack for them, carried on. So anyway, the Lady Vols, they're back in action on Monday at 6 o'clock. That game will be on ESPN2, and they've got the number 11 ranked Indiana Hoosiers coming in here. I don't know what. Are we trying to get in the Big Ten? They played Ohio State the first game. Coach Trail, they got Indiana in the third game. I don't know who's left up there, huh?
We're taking them all on.
Taking
up
them
there.
on. Yeah, well, that's good. They've opened up against, out of 3 games, 2 of them have been ranked.
Yeah,
That's what
well,
you
that's
like to
good.
see. You find out a lot about your team early
sure
when you play people like that. Hey, last Saturday, the Tennessee Vols traveled to Athens, Georgia to take on the Bulldogs, and depending on which poll you were observing, it was billed as number 1 versus number 2. Many experts were calling it the game of the century, but the outcome really didn't live up to the hype as Georgia defeated Tennessee 27-13. Coach Trail I'm looking at that score, and I don't know about you, but it's no indication of how we were manhandled. They beat us.
No.
They beat us up pretty bad, didn't they?
We didn't score till 4 minutes to go in the game, and we got handled. I mean, really bad. But they took away what we do best, and that's with your quarterback and your throwing game. Wow. And they took that away, and they were either rushing us or they did a good job of doing what they do. They were either bringing everybody or they were dropping everybody back, and it made it hard for the quarterback to try to figure out exactly what's going to come off this.
Yeah.
And Georgia did a great job.
No,
I mean, you keep the ball from somebody that scores a lot of points, like which we had been doing. You know, the thing you got to do is keep the ball away from them.
Exactly.
And they did that.
I thought the turning point in the game was the third quarter where we didn't do anything with the ball.
Yeah.
But we had about 3 or 4 minutes there, and we had to give it back to Georgia, and Georgia ran 9 minutes off of the clock, and that to me right there was pretty much the end of the game. That ate up the third quarter. Then you're into the fourth quarter, and I thought Georgia, Troy, the second half just played ball control football. They kind of called off the dogs and said, "Hey, look, we're not going to let their offense on the field. We're going to run the ball, and we're going to run the clock." And it was really immaterial with them with the lead that they had, whether they scored that much or not. You know, when you're running that much time off.
Yeah, I mean, not many teams have gotten a lead of that level against Tennessee this year, and for Georgia to say, I think that is a testament to how good Tennessee's been on offense this year, that Georgia probably didn't feel like we don't need to try and throw the ball here and give it back to them quickly, because as much as we have stopped them in this first half to this point, let's not keep poking the bear. And Georgia played great. I think they threw it 4 times in the second half, ran the ball well, which is something that really no team has done against Tennessee to this point. And, I mean, that's why they're the best team in the country for a reason.
And Marcus, golly, we played Georgia in Knoxville. Maybe we get them. We played Georgia down in Atlanta. Maybe we get them. But Georgia and Athens last Saturday, with that crowd and 6 motion penalties that we had in the game, that was a big factor.
I think
crowd.
It certainly hurt Tennessee's offense. Those penalties came, and some of those ended up being drive killers, where you ended up with the 3 and out where you really, really probably would not have had it not been for that crowd. So all props to the Georgia faithful that showed up for that one. They bark like a dog and whatever they do down there.
Yeah.
I don't know if they got down on all fours or whatever, but from what Ray was saying earlier, Georgia did what Alabama thought they could do. Mm-hmm. They got their secondary could stay with Tennessee's receivers. They were better coached. They knew what Tennessee was going to do. They were reacting to it. They were reacting quicker to it. And they were just more athletic than what we've seen from any secondary so far. They were able to keep Tennessee's receivers in their sights. They weren't letting them run open. And when you had that coupled with the fact the defensive front was able to play one-on-one with Tennessee, they didn't have to bring an extra guy. I mean, Tennessee had a real problem adjusting to that. We didn't see it till the fourth quarter.
Coach Trell, for weeks, we've talked about on this program that the things that you needed to do against Tennessee to beat them or have a chance to beat them was pass rush, handle the receivers, control the football, keep them off the field, and no big plays.
Well, Georgia
I'm going down through there. Check, 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 check.
That's exactly
and
right.
That was pretty much the way it ended up.
You know, the thing that really kind of I thought jumping Tennessee to number 1 and leaving Georgia at 2 or 3 wasn't – that's the worst thing that could have happened to us. I mean, we should have been 2 trying to beat 1. Instead, we were 1 beating –
Exactly.
You know? And I think that hurt us.
Yeah.
And it was the first time we'd been number 1 in 20 years, I guess. But, I mean, I thought everything stacked up in Georgia's favor. Yeah. And, you know, you take a team like that, they had something to prove, and they did it. And
then former quarterback Eric Ainge announced on the radio that, you know, it really wasn't a big factor, you know, playing down there in Athens, Georgia. You know, it's kind of overestimated as far as the crowd noise and so forth. But I think Troy, he ended up apologizing for that comment
as he should have. That wasn't smart. Look, and that's just also not a smart comment to make. Anytime you play a big game on the road in the SEC, the other crowd can have a factor on it.
Yeah.
That's what SEC football is.
Coach Trail, let me ask you
Unless
this:
it's Vanderbilt.
It's been a long time since Tennessee's been ranked number one, or as high as they're ranked right now, been considered for playoff contention. Do you think the hype of the game? Do you think the game was maybe a little too big for Tennessee right now? I mean, you're talking about a football team last year that was 7-6, and where they're at right now, or not?
Well, yeah, I think the game itself got away from Tennessee, and I think they had. If you really look back at their whole deal, it's been an easy year. I mean, they'd scored like 40-something points every game, and they were kind of walking on the top ladder there. Yeah. And I think that they didn't realize how good Georgia could be. Yeah. Right there in their home deal. Yeah. And I think, I still say that I thought the deal of jumping Tennessee over Georgia going into that game was like, slapping a gorilla in the face. I mean, that just, golly. Yeah. I mean, that was I wish we had gone into the game still ranked 2 or 3 and playing Georgia.
Yeah. Or 5.
Or 5 or whatever. Yeah. But, my gosh, you're talking about putting pressure on somebody. The game itself was enough pressure.
Yeah.
But when you jump from 2 to 3 over Georgia and then go play them at their house,
yeah.
I
Troy,
tell you what.
Marcus, Troy doesn't like for me to bring this up, at all, but I'm going to bring it up. Tennessee is not going to win the Eastern Division Championship. I mean, they could. I mean, Georgia could get beat at Mississippi State. They could beat up at Kentucky. I don't see them losing both of those games. We're not going to win the Eastern Division. We're not going to win an SEC championship. We still could finish 11-1 on the year with no championships. We don't have a ring in the pocket or anything, so we're hanging our hat on 11-1. Now we could go to the Sugar Bowl, we could go to the Sugar Bowl winner, or we could go to the playoffs and show well. But to this point, with all the hype and with all the ranking, Marcus, we haven't won anything.
Well, you haven't, but it also shows the dilemma of the SEC. You can be a really good team and not have anything to show for it. I mean, you can ask LSU or Ole Miss all about that. They've been sitting behind Alabama off and on with really good teams, 10-2, 11-1 seasons that they didn't have anything to show for it because Alabama was undefeated.
Right. Yep. Right. Troy, we've sat here and we've talked about them controlling the clock and controlling the game. That 9 minutes in the third quarter was big. But then you look at the total game. Tennessee had the ball for 29 minutes, and Georgia had the ball for 31 minutes.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a whole lot of difference. It was really that 9 minutes of that third quarter, was it not?
Yeah, it was huge. And, I think Tennessee will look back and think, well, we had our chances. They missed a few deep balls. I think of the one to Jalen Hyatt where Jalen Hyatt kind of rolled his ankle a little bit there. They had their chances. Yeah. It didn't seem, for the first time all season, Hendon Hooker didn't look like the Heisman Trophy winner. He just, missed a few balls. He was short on a few balls, overthrew a few balls, and he just didn't play his best game, and we've talked about it all year. As good as Tennessee is running the football, as improved as their defense is, I'm not going to sit here and say they're a good defense, but they're better than they were a year ago. Team ultimately runs on Hendon Hooker, and he didn't play well, and so they lost.
Yeah. Coach Trail, let me ask you this. Georgia put some things out there that we haven't seen this year. It looks like a lot of teams that Tennessee plays with, this Tennessee's explosive. We got to stop the big play, so they drop more people back, don't rush as many. Georgia just said, hey, we're putting people up there. We're coming after you, and we're going to put the pressure on you, force you out of your comfort zone. And they have formed a blueprint now for maybe other teams that Tennessee plays? Are we going to look for more of those types of stunts and
well,
whatever off of the defense?
If the first thing you look at is when Tennessee's averaging 45 points a game, the first thing I got to do is stop them from scoring. Yeah. And whatever it takes, if I have to rush 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever, I got to stop them from scoring because you end up with Tennessee ahead 20-something points, and you're fighting an uphill battle the whole game. I mean, you got to stop that happening. And Tennessee has got what I call 2 or 3 super players. The quarterback, a couple of wide receivers. They're great players.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you can't win in this league with that. They shut that down. You have nowhere to go.
And I thought the offensive line, Marcus, showed some cracks. You know, that's been pretty solid all year, that offensive line, but they
showed some cracks.
Yeah.
But to your question was, is it a blueprint? No. There's only about 2 or 3 other teams in the country that have the personnel to follow that blueprint.
That's the thing people are forgetting. It's like, yes, Georgia played really good. Georgia is 3 deep with 5 stars at every position on defense. They were the best defense in the country last year, arguably the best defense in college football history last year. They're still really good defensively. Guess what? When Missouri walks in here today, they ain't got the dudes to do that. They just don't have them.
Missouri's not going to be able to defensive front right up against.
Missouri could send
Tennessee
13. They're not going to
line.
do what Georgia did on Saturday.
Before we get to Missouri, I want to make one more. We talk a little bit about Hendon Hooker. He was 23 for 195 yards and 1 interception. The offense, the rushes, that was another thing that we've been doing good. You know, our running game, our back, they haven't been getting the notoriety, but they've been strong all year long. 94 yards, 42 carries on 94 yards, Marcus. That was just not. That's not us either.
And I'll go against the grain because I thought the thing that hurt Tennessee, as much as Georgia was doing, there was a weak point to what Georgia was doing and the way they were pressuring Hooker. And had Tennessee not been behind, and let's face it, been behind for really the first time this year, it would have probably occurred to them the weak spot's right up the middle. We actually need to run it more. Because that's where the weak spot was. When you're dropping that many guys and bringing pressure from the outside, your weak spot's right up the middle.
Yeah. I'll tell you something else, Coach Trev. If you're up 24-6, you can send those guys after that quarterback a little bit more than if you're just up 3 points in a close game or 7, huh?
Well, I tell you, the thing is, the secondary of Georgia did a great job.
They did.
I mean, they played a great job.
They did.
We didn't give them anything they hadn't seen. I mean, we just kept doing what we were doing, and they said, well, we're scoring 45 points. Why would you change?
Right.
But they worked on that, and they had those routes down. They had them. They knew exactly where they were going.
I was thinking at the time how good a job they were doing, and our best offense against them were those 15-yard penalties
That's right.
on pass interference. That's where we were getting our yardage, and I mean that's just unbelievable the way we played all year long.
Well,
but that,
the thing is and this is going to be true the rest of the way. The teams Missouri is not a bad team. They have played some close games.
They're a bad team.
And no, they're not.
They're a bad
they're
team.
not. And if we go out there thinking that, we'll end up again the same way but we were last
this
week.
way. They had a better score against Georgia than Tennessee did.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
They also had a much worse score against Kentucky than Tennessee did.
I think that Missouri, and we'll talk about Missouri right now.
Yeah.
Missouri's 4-5, 2-4 coming into the contest, but they lost on a game at Florida that the guy's going in and he just lost control of the ball. Nobody hit him or nothing on the last play of the game.
Yeah.
And they had Georgia whipped.
Yeah.
They had them whipped. They led them the whole ball game, Georgia. And you say, well, they're not very good. But Georgia didn't do anything but kick field goals in that game. And most teams this year have beat them on field goals. They've been low-scoring games. This Missouri defense is a pretty good defense. Now, I sat here and said, well, Kentucky had a good defense too.
Yeah.
But Missouri builds their program, and this Tiger football team is around their defense. Now, are they going to win the game today? No, they're not going to win the game. I can't see that. I can't see that because their offense is so anemic. I mean, they're only scoring 17 points a game on their offense,
Well,
but their defense is can keep them around.
I am telling you, in this league, you better not overlook anybody.
Except for Vanderbilt.
And Vanderbilt, yeah. but I'm just saying, when you go out there, you better bring your A game. And I think we got for the Georgia game, we got a little bit of a big head. You know that. You
Well,
know,
we're feeling
number
pretty good
one.
about
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah, number one, man. I mean, we're number one. But the old saying, "Money talks, bullshit walks."
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, we're talking about how strong the conference is
Oh,
and so
yeah.
forth and so on. But, you're looking at the East, it's really Georgia and Tennessee. And,
Yeah.
and then we thought, well, man, all the great teams are over there in the West.
Yeah.
And now you look at the West and you're going, well, how good are they? They got teams over there now that's going to win their division over there that's got 2 losses. So, Marcus, tell us where we're at in the Southeastern Conference here. We're building the West up. A lot of us were thinking Texas A&M had a chance to win that deal over there, and they're down there at the bottom. And we're looking at Ole Miss, LSU, and Alabama right now are the only 3 teams that still got a chance, mathematical chance, of getting into the SEC championship game. So where are we at?
You're at the fun time of the year because it still matters.
Yeah.
That's what's so exciting about this season is we're not sitting here presuming with a lot of confidence that Alabama is going to be representing the West.
Yeah.
And it makes it a lot more fun. Now, if you're on Tennessee's side, you're on the East, you've only got 1 game left, and we don't think Mississippi State's going to pull that off. But it's still mathematically out there that you could have something interesting.
I think you look at this conference and say that some of the teams that we thought were down the tube has gotten better.
Oh, LSU's gotten so much better.
Oh man!
I mean, if you would have told me a few weeks ago when Tennessee just laid it on them a few weeks ago, they'd come out and beat Bama the way they did the other day, I'd say you are absolutely lying. But they've gotten so much better.
When you get a coach from Notre Dame, I mean, you got to expect that your program is going to be on the rise, right?
It's amazing what happens when you leave Notre Dame. A bunch of losers over there. And when you leave there, you can really do some great things.
But I tell you, that's the thing that I say. Everybody, and you take South Carolina, they're getting better. I mean, what are they, 6-3 or something like that?
They beat Florida today down there, and they got Tennessee going in there next week. And
I tell you, the thing is that people, you cannot stay. You get zeroed in, and we kind of did get zeroed in there. We're just doing the same thing every week, same things. We didn't make a change. We didn't do anything different, and it caught up with us. It's just.
And LSU's not out of the woods yet.
Oh, no.
They got to go to Arkansas today, and then they got to go to Texas A&M. And I know we're saying, well, Texas A&M's horrible.
They are,
but they have not lived up to expectations. But they still have people there. And if LSU is vying for that division title, and they go into Texas A&M, and they're like, well, we're not going to the bowl game, and we underachieved. But if we can win this game, I mean, see, they still got some things to play for, regardless. But
I don't think Texas A&M can play with LSU.
I don't think so either.
I don't believe that. And I think
I'm not sure Texas A&M can play with anybody.
I don't think Texas A&M can play with anybody except for Vanderbilt.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Texas A&M is flushed.
That's just such a disjointed team.
have
Whether
never-
you want to call it they overspent an NIL and probably overdid that, I would probably agree. They're just not. That's not a team.
They overspent for a coach.
How odd it is with all
$85
that,
million he's got.
that ballyhooed recruiting class that they have. You've got
You got a what?
you got a walk-on starting in the secondary today with that big recruiting class and all that talent.
yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys, you got to dance with the one that brung you, and that's the way it is, and you can't change it. And now, the guy's guaranteed $85 million. I don't think he's losing any sleep
Would you?
over it.
Would you?
No.
We get threatening rain.
Yeah.
One thing about the game is I've got my son here and my 2 grandkids. They're going to be over there.
Oh, God.
There's going to be some wet people. There's going to be some cold people. But we're not going to be one of them, are we, Coach Phil? We're going to be drinking something and watching the ball game in dry weather. But I want to ask you, what effect would that have on the game? What effect? Defense. Missouri prides themselves in their defense, holding people to field goals. How big of an advantage would that be to have a rain coming down and a wet field over there to them in this game?
you've answered the question already. That neutralizes a lot of things. And you go in, and the thing you got to look at, and we have not mentioned, is, Tennessee was in the top of the list there, and all of a sudden they're knocked down, look bad, and what are they going to do? I mean, how much are they going to return to normal? But really, when you look at the Tennessee team, you look at 2 or 3 receivers and the quarterback, and that's it.
Yep.
And that's the thing that you got. We're one arm. We go into the game with one arm. I mean, because that's just the way it is.
Troy, we're in the last 3 games. We're expected to win all 3 of these games.
Yep.
We're in the hunt for the playoff. That's the goal right now, to get in the playoffs. The way that I see this now is that, you hate to run up scores on people, but if you can run up scores, you're going to have to run them up as high as you can get them. You're going to have to look good, play well, and get some real brownie points, so to speak, in these last 3 games, are you not? You're going to have to really pound some people, huh?
Yeah, I mean, and look, these are the dregs of the league. I mean, these are bad teams, and you should run it up. Look, I don't see a way that Missouri scores double-digit points today. If it's raining, if it's sunning, if it's whatever it is, I just don't see a way they score 10 points. And if you think you're holding Tennessee under 10 points, you're taking some sort of weird pharmaceutical that you got to tell somebody about. Yeah. South Carolina's not good. I don't care what anybody says about them. They're not good. And then you get to close out with Vanderbilt, who is, by all intents and purposes, a Division II school.
Well, Coach Trail, he just got done telling us that the SEC East is not any good. It's weak, and we've got Georgia and Florida, and that's basically all we got. And we're going to talk about the playoff committee later on. I hope the playoff committee isn't looking at the way Troy's looking at it, because that's not going to help anybody with that kind of attitude that your division's not any good and you didn't win it. So, you got to be careful. You got to be careful what you say.
You didn't win it because you have the best team in the country in your division.
I'll tell you this. This little guy right here has never lined up out there on that field.
Hey, I did. I was little. I was little, but I did.
I don't.
Okay.
I go by a lot of things that he says.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He's never danced the dance.
Coach Trail, we're going to lock him in a closet, and we're going to go on to the next segment. How's that?
Okay.
Hey, it's time to turn the page, and next up is the local scoreboard with Donnie Moore and Mark It Down featuring Marcus Fitzsimmons. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Make the big play with MVP Money Tools from Knoxville TVA Employees Credit Union. With KTVA ECUs, contactless debit card, direct deposits that hit up to 2 days early, credit cards that earn cashback reward points, and loans with competitive rates. Add all 4 MVP Money Tools to build your financial roster. It's everything you need to win financially.
Join us now.
Federally Reserve Bank CUA. Equal Opportunity Housing Lender. Restrictions may apply. Call for details. 800-467-5427.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality.
Wow.
For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
We all want our loved ones to be safe. Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit denzocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply. Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, amplifiers, lessons, sound system, and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093. The Blue Tick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza, made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Blue Tick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Blue Tick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards along with the rest of our broadcast crew, and now it's time for the local scoreboard, sponsored by Mandy B. Street Realty. Donnie Moore, high school playoff football in the news, huh?
Wow, it sure is, Mike. And, the list is getting smaller all the time as we go through our rounds in TSSAA high school football playoffs. This was round 2 last night, and only 2 local teams are participating. And I'll give you the list here. In Class 3A, Alcoa at now 11-1 took on Pigeon Forge last night, a region team that they've already played once this year. And believe it or not, the score last night was an identical score to the regular season game. Alcoa took on Pigeon Forge and beat them 42-20 last night. Alcoa, like I said, is now 11-1. After round 2, Pigeon Forge ended their season at 6-6. Next week, Alcoa will take on, once again at home at Goddard Field, Gatlinburg-Pittman, who beat Chucky Doak last night, 47-34. So Gatlinburg-Pittman's another region foe coming to Alcoa next week. Marcus,
it's a familiar song when it
is.
comes to Region 2.
Yeah.
It's not the first time. It'd be an exception if they were actually facing the other region champion. They hardly ever get through to them.
Yeah,
and,
that's true.
If it's whether it's GP or Austin East or CAK or whatever the case may be for that set of years, it's generally a quarterfinal rematch, and it's generally a fairly good game.
Yeah, it probably will be. It won't be a walk in the park, but Gatlinburg-Pittman will come into to Alcoa next week to face the Tornadoes. And then after that, it's travel time.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. The other side of that bracket still got some. It's a more interesting side to see what's going to happen over there. And GP's not a give-me game. They're a better team than the one that Alcoa faced back in Week 4.
They are. We'll see what happens. In our other high school playoff round 2 action last night, the 6A classification, Maryville at now 9-3 defeated Bearden 28-10. Bearden ends their season at 7-5, and Maryville next week will host Science Hill, who defeated Farragut 40-19.
They've been a surprise. Science Hill here at the last part of the year.
They've come on strong.
They beat Dobbins-Bennett. Is that correct? They beat Dobbins-Bennett and turned around and beat a pretty good Farragut team, last night. And, I guess one of the good things about that is, Maryville, things have worked out well for them, and the fact that they've been able to be at home.
They have
throughout the playoffs, and they're going to be at home again next week. And
won a region championship.
Yes, sir. That's just kind of worked out. When things are working out, you got to think, well, maybe we got things going here a little bit. So
that's right. Maryville has gelled as a football team, and they're playing really well.
Playing much better the last 3 weeks than they had throughout the regular season.
That's true. congratulations to our local teams as they move on through the playoffs. National Letter of Intent signings this week, all from Maryville. 6 of them. Wow. Kayla Barr from Maryville High School signed with the University of Tennessee at Knoxville for soccer. She'll continue her education and her athletic career there. Liv Gravett from Maryville also signed with the University at Buffalo. Not the University of Buffalo, but the University at Buffalo.
Important
Imagine
distinction.
that. Yeah, important distinction. You're right, Troy. She will continue her career with at the volleyball program up there in Buffalo. Parker Miller from Maryville signed with Carson Newman to play women's golf up there. Yeah, I tell you, so quite a variation from going down the line. Ashley Parrish signed with the University of Alabama Huntsville to continue her career in track and field. Nick Talley signed with Walters State Community College to play men's golf. And Madeline Bull, also of Maryville, signed with Tennessee Wesleyan University to continue her track and her career in soccer. So congratulations to all these fine athletes from Maryville High School who had a great day. Troy, you covered that.
I did.
They had a great day over there, a signing day.
Yeah, always
Maryville
fun.
High School.
Signing day is always a good time.
It is always fun.
And let's throw one in there, Donnie, that has kind of been understated and under the radar a little bit, but Pellissippi State has announced that they are going to field athletic teams.
Indeed.
And that is going to create a whole other opportunity level.
Right, it is. That's good. I'm taking a class at Pellissippi State right now. So.
Have you got eligibility left?
I don't know. I might apply for the athletics director position over there. So.
Does that mean there's going to be more traffic going by my house, going out to Pellissippi to watch these games?
I believe they're routing the traffic by your house intentionally. For
They're going to offer you some money, Mike, for that.
That and the sewer.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Oh.
Well, you're listening to WKCE 105.1 FM and 1180 AM Mid-Century Radio, and now we're going to kick it to veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons for his feature, Mark It Down.
Well, thanks, Tony. That was a really smooth segue. I just want to give you props this week. That was a good one.
Thank you.
We're joined this morning. We're going to start the basketball preview because, ready or not, the seasons are ready to change on us.
Indeed they are. Going to get colder this afternoon.
So kicking off the basketball preview, we have Maryville High School. We got new coach Wes Lambert in here, and he's brought a couple of seniors. And, Coach, let's start off with introducing these seniors. Who'd you bring with you this morning?
I've got Lane Pinkerton and Nick Johnson, two of our 5 seniors, two of our better vocal and leaders on the team. So I wanted to give them a chance to represent us this morning.
Well, guys, welcome. Thanks for coming in this morning. We'll try not to put you too far under the spotlight here, but we'll go ahead and ask, what's been the biggest transition for the seniors? You all have been with this program, and now you got a new coach. What's been the hardest thing to adjust to so far?
You got it first?
Yeah, sure. So let's see. So first off, I think we've definitely had a change in our kind of the mindset of our game plan, focusing much more on the defensive end, and also in our preparation for the season. We've spent a little more time in the weight room this year, spent a little more time conditioning. And I definitely think that's built up our mental strength, maybe a little more than the past. And I really think it's going to help us going into a tough first part of the season.
Yeah, Coachy, we thank him a lot because he helped us out a lot these last 3 years. But then we got a new coach in Lamb, and we've really gelled together, I feel like, as a program. I feel like we're the tightest we've been over the past 4 years.
Coach, that's good. Does that feel good or bad?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. The preseason has been challenging for them. I like to run my programs as close to a college program as possible, just to get them ready for that. And I think it honestly, like Lane and Nick said, the mental side of it is what we're trying to grasp. And I think we're getting there. We're real close to that side of it.
Well, if somebody had asked and said, what is Maryville going to look like, I would say, well, defense is going to come first, and then you're going to look at a lot of post play on offense that plays inside out. How close am I?
You're very close. We still shoot it a lot. We've got some really good shooters, and Maryville in the past is we try to outscore as many people as we can, obviously, but it's going to have a same look as far as the amount of threes we're going to shoot, but we've got a big post presence over the next couple of years, and you're going to see that kind of be more of an inside-out game.
Well, we talked to you not long after you took the job, but has the summer and I guess the first part of the school year kind of gone to expectation of what you thought it would be as far as what you were going to need to do as far as getting the program? And
yeah, I think so. We knew going into it what we were going to try to accomplish this summer was defense. Offense was going to come. And we focused most of the time this summer on defense. And really the first 2 weeks of practice have been probably 60-40 defense to offense. Our offense is going to be there. We're not worried about our offense right now. It's more so just that team-oriented. We talk about being, 5 over 1, really being a unit instead of individuals. And that's what the players are grasping, and it's showing.
I've seen this several times, and I kind of believe that you all have a method to kind of preparing players for it, but it's not how well they can think and execute when they're fresh and have just come out and just done a little bit of warm-ups, but it's how they do it when there's people yelling at them and they're already tired and worn out, and being able to still think and execute that way. That's where all that work comes in from the conditioning and then putting them through it. So, guys, how do you feel about going into the season? You got what do we got, 3 days left before you kick it off? Are any butterflies in there, or are you all just ready to get this started?
I think we're really just trying to get it started. We got a couple games today to really get out the nerves, for some of our younger guys, but I think all the seniors have been really wanting this season after a lackluster last season. And I think we're ready to get going.
And I would say there's always going to be a few butterflies going into first game. Coming back from fall break early October, you're like, yeah, we got a month till the season. It's going to be a while, and all of a sudden we're there. We've only got 3 days left. And it's almost like, where did all that time go? But we've been preparing. I think we're ready. I think we're ready to kind of change the narrative from last year and turn over a new leaf, new season, new coach.
So from the players' perspective, and especially from being 2 of the 5 seniors, what's the team expectation? Where do you want the season to? Where do you want this to be in February and March?
Well, obviously the goal is to go to Burrow, and I think that's a high expectation, but I think we can get to it. A lot of people are down after last season. They might not expect that of us, but I think as a team we can gel together and get there.
And I think we've definitely got all the pieces to get there. If we can get all our pieces together, we've got all the potential to make a good deep postseason run.
I like Coach shaking, just nodding along with
Putting
that.
some pressure on me, right?
Well, I asked you before the break, and you kind of shocked me here. So generally when we talk with Maryville, it's, we've got 8 or 9, and then we're going to get like 7 or 8 when football season's over. That's not the case this year?
Not at all. And honestly, I don't know the last time we've had just 2 football players coming back for the varsity. And I think it says a lot for the basketball program in a standpoint, because we've got a lot of basketball-only guys that have just really bought into that culture. And, we've always had – I remember when I was playing for Coach Nelson, and he would make the comment, I can't wait for the cavalry to come. And it's kind of switched. Now we've got 2 really good football players that are coming to help us, in Matt Clemmer and Eli Elkins. But, it's an odd standpoint when we're only missing 2. 3 years ago, I remember we went to Cleveland, who was the #1 team in the state, and we had, I think, 7 players dressed out. And it went down to the wire, and I think we lost at the buzzer. But, it's a different feel. It's a different vibe that we're not used to. But it's kind of nice knowing we've got most of our guns and most of our cavalry.
So, and I'm going to guess when guys are talking about gelling, that's got to be part of it because you don't have pieces that aren't at every practice or
Right.
having to split time between the two sports. So that kind of gives you a chance to do some of the things and work on some things you normally have to set back into the Christmas tournament
Right.
before you get some of those guys.
It's a blessing and a curse to be basketball at Maryville. Usually we don't get half of our team until mid-December. So knowing that we're really only missing 2 pieces, we're able to install a lot more now and just catch them up, like you said, over Christmas break and the Christmas tournament.
Well, you mentioned the defense and the intensity. So you got the opener, you got Stone Memorial. What do you want to get accomplished before you get into the district play? What do you want to see this team be able to do?
Really, it's can we play as a unit? Our biggest downfall right now is only having one basketball on the court. We got a lot of talented players that like to get some shots up, and if we can mesh in that standpoint and really celebrate team wins instead of individual wins, then I think we're going to be in the right forward step there. That's really the only goal for me. Making it into district play is can we gel, can we be together, and not worry about who's taking that shot.
Guys, you mentioned this a little bit earlier. I'm going to play off what Coach said. You got these first games. How important is it for you guys just to do what you need to do and not worry about last season at all? Have you all moved to that point where there is no, we need to do this because we didn't do it last year?
I don't think so. I think it's really just implementing what we've learned in the first 2 weeks of practice and to follow what Coach has said. And I think if we do those things, especially on offense, working inside out, working the post game first, that's a big part of our offense. And if we can do what we've been talking about in practice over the last 2 weeks and have kept repeating in drills and everything, I think we'll have a good chance to have a good early part of the season.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just doing what Coach Lamb has taught us and, just being confident in our team and our game, then I think we'll be good for early season success.
So being seniors, when you have a coaching change, you kind of get that onus of you're leaders for a new coach. So you are setting the tone with somebody you may not know as well because he's new as the head guy. So what part of Rebel basketball do you all feel like you have to be the leaders of? Like, how does this team fit together as far as the leadership goes?
I think really on the defensive end because I feel like the last 3 years we haven't really got after it on defense, and so I think some of the guys might need a little push defensively, and I think just like communication, we really need to communicate on defense, and that comes from leadership, I feel like.
I also feel like we've struggled the past couple years of staying locked in. We zone out, whether it be on defense, on the bench, anything like that. And I really think our leaders, our seniors, need to help our guys stay locked in, that everybody plays a part in what we're trying to do. And if you execute your part of the plan, then there's a good chance that we're going to be successful.
Coach, I'll give you a chance here. People want to come out and see the Rebels. I'll let you be the promoter. Where's the best place to come see you all play the first couple of weeks?
Yeah, we've got really 2 home games, and then we're on the road for a while. So, if you want to take advantage of seeing the new Rebel basketball, it would be next week. Stone Memorial is a state tournament team. It's going to be a battle for game 1, but it's intended. We wanted that. And then we turn around and Thursday we play Sevier County at home, who's also a strong basketball program. And again, it's intended. So really next week is your chance. Come out and see us play, see these guys perform. They've been working so hard. I've been so proud of them. And they deserve it. They deserve to have all the eyes on them now.
And when y'all hit the road, where are you headed to? is it tournaments or are we?
Well, we've got Sequoia, and then we go into the Thanksgiving Classic at Heritage, and then really we're going to Webb. We're going to Baylor and Chattanooga. Some different looks that we haven't played before, different teams, and I think it's good for us. I think it's good to learn how to travel and play.
Troy, is there any chance that the guys scheduling these games is the same one that made up Maryville College's men's schedule? Because this sounds like the same kind of test they put their Raul schedule for himself.
Yeah, well, I learned a long time ago from, I think Coach Pulseris and I had the same mentor maybe. But, our mentality is we play anybody, anywhere, anytime. And we're not, we're not scared of that. It may be a disadvantage for us, but we want to put our guys in those situations because you all know how postseason is. It's game after game, turnaround, hardly any practice. So that's what we're trying to do.
It's brutal.
Yeah, it is.
Well, guys, we appreciate you coming in this morning and visiting with us. We wish you the best of luck this season. Coach, thanks for taking the time, and we'll wish you the best for the kickoff in Game 1.
Thanks for having us.
Mike, I guess we'll go ahead and turn the page unless you've got something else.
Coach Lambert, you got your dad working with you, right?
I do.
Assistant
he is the assistant, one of the assistants for us.
Yeah, and what you can do on that deal is, he gets in a real close game, and gets right down to it. You can look over and say, well, what are we going to do now? And he's going to look back at you, and you can just tell him, I got us this far. You can take us the extra steal.
I'm more so thinking about putting a muzzle on him.
Yeah, or you just need to tell him I'm going to take credit for all the wins and you're going to get credit for all the losses. Take a lot of pressure off
nice.
it.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, because the thing is, the first close loss, when Troy comes up after the game and says, what happened, you can say, well, Dad said that we were going to do this. And that's what we went with. And I guess just blame him because the guys did their part.
Yeah. Well, listen, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
And we'll look forward to seeing that father-son combination this year.
It's going to be fun.
Over at Maryville, and looks like you got some good kids, and hopefully you have a great year.
Thank you very much.
Hey, we'll take a timeout here, and when we return, Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo Heron announces the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week. You're listening to the Sports Page, Blount County Sports Voice, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
Your newspaper? That's right. The Daily Times is your newspaper, tailored to where you live, emphasizing the things that affect you and keeping track of the people and players in our community. The award-winning Daily Times can be delivered each morning right to your door or inbox with the latest in local news and sports. For a 30-day free trial offer, call 981-1100 and begin enjoying your life, your times, every day with the Daily Times.
Dunkin' has what you need to conquer the day. So if you want to go from, I don't got this, to, I got this, well, then get this. A bold, smooth espresso drink from Dunkin'. Like a layered velvety caramel macchiato, a rich chocolatey mocha latte, or a creamy non-dairy oat milk latte. Because this day isn't going to conquer itself. No, you're going to do that. Take a sip of You Got This with Dunkin' Espresso drinks. Order ahead on the app plus earn rewards. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary.
For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net. Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment. Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland. Excellence in service.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality. For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week segment with Troy Provo Heron. Donnie Moore, we got a crew in here from Alcoa, girls basketball team, David Ballman, and he's going to get to that. But we got Troy Provo Heron on Coach Trail's headset. We can't guarantee anything that's going to come out of that headset here in the next 10 minutes.
We're not guaranteeing anything.
Troy, it's all yours, buddy.
Yeah, we're joined by Alcoa girls basketball coach David Ballman and basically his entire starting 5 here. We're one short, but I got Macy Ridge in the house, Mac Bremer, Carly Hayworth, and Ainsley Pfeiffer. And Coach, I do want to start with you. Obviously, you bring back so much from last year's state tournament team. Just kind of what has this offseason been like, and what has the focus been on not only trying to get back to Murfreesboro, but try to be the last team standing in Murfreesboro this year?
Yeah, we don't back down from expectations, and a lot of that has been about embracing those and talking about that. And I think one of the biggest things for us to get back and accomplish some of the goals that we've got is just our team building. And to be honest, we've probably focused more on that right now early on than we have basketball stuff. So we're a little behind maybe with some basketball stuff, and we had some people out sick the first week. But, again, it's November, and we need to be good basketball-wise in February. So, again, our focus has been just on how well we like each other, how well we love each other, and more team-building stuff than it has been basketball stuff.
Macy, is it easier to not have to worry about the basketball stuff when y'all have played so much basketball together? Like, y'all kind of know each other so well on the court just from not only your 3 years here at Alcoa, but also from middle school?
Yeah, I think it really is easier. Us playing for so long together, and then we have these freshmen come up, and, our chemistry is so good, and we just want to incorporate them into that too. So we're just trying to, get them used to the family and stuff like that before we really start.
Carly, obviously y'all have been to the state tournament the last 2 years. Just kind of in that locker room, just how much do y'all kind of press in to get to that state championship game and win it? I know it's kind of been y'all's goal ever since y'all walked on campus as freshmen.
Yeah, we have such a balanced team this year, and we're really excited. So we're trying to stay focused, and especially here at the beginning, set our team goals and then try to achieve them later this year.
So for those who don't know Alcoa girls basketball, Carly and Macy have kind of been the staples the last few years, and Ainsley, I'm going to start with you, and Mac, I'll get to you in a second, but Ainsley, obviously you had to wait basically all year last year to finally get to play and be eligible in the postseason. Just what was that wait like, and how excited are you to finally be able to play from day one this year instead of having to wait?
I think the wait gave me such a bigger passion for this season. Going into postseason last year, it just gave the team an extra boost of confidence, and I'm hoping that we'll carry that through preseason and postseason this year.
And Mac, you were such a big part of that team 2 years ago. Obviously, early last year, you hurt your knee and were out for the season. Just how did that recovery go, and how excited are you to get back on the court?
I think it did the same thing for me, kind of. It really made me appreciate the game of basketball more, and it really let me see the dynamic of our team from another side, and I'm super excited to be back this season.
David, I know you mentioned you haven't really gotten to the basketball standpoint of things really, but when you get Mac and Ainsley back from day one as opposed to what you had last year in the regular season, how much does maybe the game philosophy change instead of kind of playing through Macy and Carly as much as you did a year ago?
Yeah, so that's one of the things that when I say that we're still a work in progress early on because, again, as you said, Macy and Carly had to do a lot for us, and our offense was kind of geared around what they did well, and they still will. They'll still score a lot of points and do a lot of things for us, but now we're going to be much more balanced, and teams will have a hard time focusing on just them, obviously. And so we're trying to work on some things that we feel like we'll be good at as a team and will help our balance. And, again, we were definitely perimeter-oriented, probably we've got a lot of bigs, and we can mix and match a lot of different ways, and we've got some versatility. And so we're trying to do some things to take advantage of that. And, it's been a little, again, slow going, getting people back, getting her back healthy. She wasn't with us all summer. Ainsley was in volleyball this fall. And, we're just trying to change some things offensively. And the funny thing is we're not real good right now offensively, and that's all we've worked on. We're pretty good defensively. We've barely done anything. But that's just because these girls are good, and, they're good defensively and they're talented and they know how to play together. So, again, we know what we've got, and we're just trying to get better at being more balanced. And, again, it's a little frustrating right now, but we'll get there. And I'm just trying to remind them, big picture, just let's improve each day, but we want to be good in February.
Right. And David, I know how competitive all these girls are. They want to win every game, but like you just said, really November, December don't really mean all that much in the big picture. And I know you kind of go about your scheduling process in terms of trying to make sure these girls are prepared for February. Another difficult schedule this year, just kind of what is it going to have to take to kind of make sure that you are playing at your best in February?
We talked yesterday about not looking so much at, macro goals and that big picture state tournament, but micro goals, and that's just getting better each day, growing closer as a team each day and just focusing, one thing at a time. And that's what we're trying to focus on right now and trying to prepare us. And I feel like, we do those things, most importantly, love each other, and by the end of the year we'll be where we need to be.
Macy, you've kind of always been maybe the defensive linchpin of this team. Just what is it about this defense that you think can be so good this year on the perimeter and inside?
We've kind of switched it up this year, so we're working on getting more in the passing lane and, just making those passes harder. So I think that it's going to help us a lot because I'm a player that likes to pressure the ball, and if we can pressure the ball and also defend the pass at the same time, it's going to be a lot harder for teams to be able to get in the middle and score. When they do get in the middle, we got Ainsley and Amelia down there, so it's going to be a little tough for them to get in there too. So,
Carly, I know you like to shoot it. A little bit more confidence shooting the ball now, knowing that you have Ainsley and Mac down there. You trust them to get rebounds and all that stuff. How much confidence do you kind of have in them down low and just being able to, as a point guard, getting them the ball and kind of being a two-dimensional offense as opposed to maybe more one-dimensional like y'all were a year ago, like Coach was saying?
Yeah, this year we have a lot more, balance and overall talent. So, if me and Macy aren't hitting well on the outside, then we always got Mills and Ainsley and Mac all in the post. Big, they can rebound, they can get inside the paint, they can block shots, they can do whatever they want. So we're really lucky to have them back this year.
Ainsley, just how much maybe more enjoyable is the game getting to play with your sister and kind of all that stuff?
It is so great, and just knowing that this is the last year that we will play together, it just makes it such a bittersweet season. And it's so exciting just to see how well she will play this season and how well we're all going to play together as a whole. It's just really encouraging.
Mac, just from your perspective, I want to kind of go back to defense because you've kind of always been that low post defender. Does your role change on defense any, knowing that Ainsley and Amelia are here, or does it kind of stay the same with how much size y'all have down low?
It doesn't change necessarily. Given the fact that we're all so versatile, we can always change no matter what. So one of us can guard a guard if needed, and one of us can guard a post if needed. It's just whatever the team needs at that point in the game.
David, she mentions versatility. As a coach, how much easier does that make your job, knowing that you have so many girls who can do so many different things offensively and defensively?
It's very comforting, and we can make substitutions and not really be as worried about who it is, and even talking about some of the girls we're bringing off the bench right now, early in the season, Kara Pitts and Bella Darty are, they can guard multiple positions and play multiple positions for us. And I encourage the girls, and that's what we're trying to get across to the freshmen right now. The more positions you know to play, the more useful you are. You know, the more comfortable we can put. You know, if you can only do one thing in one spot, you know, then that's going to limit your minutes sometimes. And they're getting there. So those freshmen we have a talented group of freshmen. They just have to learn everything that we're trying to do, and most importantly, learn, you know, the intensity that we're trying to play with, and that's where these girls are so good. But yeah, we've got. I mean, and it's like Mac was talking about our defensive versatility. You know, feel like we do offensively. We've got some offensive versatility as well. We could probably post anybody up. Maybe not post Carly up as much, but she thinks she's got good moves inside to score. But yet, I mean, we can get mismatched with somebody guarding Macy that she can go inside and bully a little bit, and do the same with Ainsley and Mac. And I just don't feel like many teams will have 3 girls that could guard, you know, Amelia, Ainsley, Mac all together in the post. So, you know, we can do some different things offensively. And when we get there and when we figure everything out, I think we'll be hard to guard.
David, we've talked a lot about the Big Five, but you mentioned Cara, you mentioned Bella. How valuable do you think their experience was last year? Obviously, we're kind of thrust into playing a lot of minutes for you a year ago with Max going down and the Pfeiffer sisters being ineligible.
It's huge, and it's kind of it's weird math. You know, we lost a starter, but we have 6 starters returning. You know, we lost Eden Davis, who started, but, you know, Ainsley and Amelia started the whole postseason for us. You know, Kara Pitt started all year for us. You know, Mac is a 2-year starter as a freshman and sophomore. So we lost 1, but we have 6 starters returning. So, you know, we've got a lot of experience in some big games. And as you said, you know, we play big games. That's something we try to do. You know, basketball is a tournament sport, and we're not, you know, yes, we want to win every game, but I don't schedule looking to pad our record and rack up regular season wins. I schedule to make us better and prepared for those battles in the postseason, because it's tough, it's physical, and the better teams you play, you know, the better we get. And so when we schedule, we're looking at teams. Does this team have a chance to be, you know, region semi-type team, sub-state type team? And, you know, we've got, you know, I think 13, 14 of those type games of teams that are either in the state tournament or in sub-state last year on our schedule.
Carly, I know me and you talked when we were doing your Player of the Year story about you wanting to grow individually as a leader. And now with Eden gone, I know she was y'all's. I think Mama Bear was the one that we used last year for in that locker room. But just for y'all as seniors and all of you, just how have you kind of embraced the leadership aspect now that Eden's gone and y'all kind of have to be the senior leaders on this group?
Right. I mean, we really took some of the things that Eden gave us, because she always made us feel like one team, like one family. And so we really took those freshmen in, and we're all so close. Like, that was what we focused on like preseason. Like, we really focused on getting close as a team, loving on each other, and so it'll help us on the court with our chemistry.
David, I know you said you want to focus on the micro and not the macro, but when you look at this season, what to you constitutes a successful season as we gear up for Tuesday?
Again, that we love each other well, and that we're improving each day. And, you know, again, we're not shying away from the fact that we feel like we should end our season in Murfreesboro. And we talked yesterday that, you know, if we just do that, get better each day, then wherever our destiny is, it'll happen. You know, whatever our destiny is meant to be, you know, it'll happen if we just focus each day on getting better.
Macy, how do you make sure that I mean, obviously y'all have been to state the last 2 years and all that stuff. People probably around school expect y'all to go again. How do y'all handle the pressure of all that, if there is any?
I mean, we take it and roll with it. It's kind of a confidence booster that everybody expects us to go. So, I mean, we just take that and use it in practice. It's kind of a motivation that people believe in us that much. So,
well, I want to thank all of y'all for coming in this morning and talking to us. You were our only state tournament representative last year, and we hope y'all can get back again, and we'll probably talk to y'all a bunch throughout this season. So best of luck on Tuesday against McMinn Central, right, David?
Yep.
There we go. And we'll give it back to Mike and turn the page.
That McMinn Central's a pretty good basketball team down there. They got good tradition, don't they? Is Johnny Morgan still down there coaching that team?
Yes, he is. He's still rolling.
Yeah.
They were the team we played in sub-state last year, so they're one of the sub-state teams we're playing.
And he brings his team up to Blount County quite often. You know, I've seen him over here in the Maryville Christmas tournament.
And he's a Friendsville guy.
Yeah.
He born and raised in Friendsville and played for Friendsville High School.
Yeah, and those Morgans were heck of players. You know, they ended up down at Tennessee Wesleyan, played some pretty good basketball down there in their college careers.
Johnny and Charlie and Reed.
Yeah.
And Mike, I'll tell you something. I've known David for a long time. David doesn't play bad teams.
No.
He goes out and he finds the hardest teams he can on the schedule and he plays them. So
yeah.
I've always respected that.
Well, Coach, good luck to you.
Thank you.
We'll
Appreciate
see you.
it.
We'll see you throughout the year, but good luck to you
Thank you.
going in.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Hey, time for a break. When we return, it's Sports Headlines with Donnie Moore and the Tennessee Smokies Spotlight. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
We all want our loved ones to be safe. Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit densocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply. Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, amplifiers, lessons, sound system, and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093.
Make the big play with MVP Money Tools from Knoxville TVA Employees Credit Union. With KTVA ECUs, contactless debit card, direct deposits that hit up to 2 days early, credit cards that earn cashback reward points, and loans with competitive rates. Add all 4 MVP Money Tools to build your financial roster. It's everything you need to win financially.
Join us now.
Federally insured by NCUA. Equal Opportunity Housing Lender. Restrictions may apply. Call for details. 800-467-5427.
The Blue Tick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza, made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Blue Tick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Blue Tick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville. Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment. Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland. Excellence in service. For over 50
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, and here are this week's sports headlines with Donnie Moore. It's all yours, Donnie.
Thank you, Mike.
Donnie.
Home fan club over here. All right. After a less than stellar start to the 2022 NFL season, the Indianapolis Colts, at a 3-5-1 record, continued their search for answers Monday when they fired their coach, Frank Reich. The Colts organization had already benched their quarterback and dismissed their offensive coordinator. Colts owner Jim Irsay offered the vacant job to only one person, former Colts center Jeff Saturday, who accepted both the job and the challenge. Saturday played 13 seasons at Indy between 1999 and 2011 and was selected to 5 Pro Bowls. He has served as an NFL analyst for ESPN, but his only coaching experience came at the high school level at Hebron Christian Academy in Dacula, Georgia.
Donnie, I have a question for Ray Trail, actually, about this matter. Ray, how would you feel if your coach gets fired, you're a player in that locker room, and the owner puts in a coach that hadn't been with you all year. He's just showing up in week 10, week 11. He don't know nothing about you. Don't know nothing about the guy sitting next to you. But he's the leader of this team now. He ain't been here all year. How do you feel about that?
I think that guy made a dumb play myself.
I agree.
I think these guys, they have most of these owners, the thing it is, they've never played the game. They don't know how much the camaraderie and the closeness of the team means to winning and losing. And they just think they can stick somebody out there. You just go coach them. Well, you don't know this guy from Adams Allfox, and it just I think it's the stupidest move I ever heard.
Well, Ray, I do want to offer some pushback there. Your dear friend Jerry Jones did play football, and he thinks he knows everything about football. He controls the whole organization, and as a Cowboys fan, it really makes me mad that he won't hire a coach who actually knows how to coach.
Well, that's Jerry Jones.
There you go. There you go. Hey,
That's Jerry Jones.
there is talk in Indianapolis about hiring a general manager. You know who they're talking up there?
Who is it?
A guy by the name of Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning.
Yeah, that'd
Well,
be interesting, wouldn't
that
it?
would,
If he
wouldn't
went
it?
to the
Peyton
poster.
Manning is smarter than that.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something.
I mean,
Peyton Manning
Manning making more money
on
than
TV.
he can.
Yeah, he's not leaving.
I mean,
That rumor-
why would you want to go to get involved in something like that?
When you're making
From the team that made you basically leave.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Peyton
really.
Manning is rolling in probably, and I don't want to sit here and assume business deals. Peyton Manning's got to be making close to. He's definitely making 8 figures a year just doing ESPN broadcasts.
Monday
He's
Night
not
Football.
he's not leaving to take care of Matt Ryan and Sam Ellinger.
He doesn't need to babysit up in
But
Indianapolis.
if you think of it from the other side, and you're the Colts, and you're looking at what you got left, hiring Jeff Saturday, you're really managing expectations. Because if you win anything from here on out, it's a win. Because nobody's expecting you to win a game from this point.
Sure, but the season's already over. They stink. Who cares?
So you're playing for the best draft pick.
So you should lose.
Yeah, he knows.
So that you make a hire that
Sure you lose. That's unfortunate.
just saying they don't think the way we do.
They don't think.
They don't. Yeah, they don't think at all. Well, anyway.
Well, they don't have much to look forward to up there either with the Pacers firing up.
True.
They're not much better, huh?
With a 4-1 victory over Philadelphia just a week ago, the Houston Astros proved that they were the best team in baseball and made great strides in cleaning their record and chasing away the ghosts of 2017 scandal. Things haven't been easy for the Stros since 17. They've had to hire a new manager and a new general manager and completely reassemble the coaching staff. They also lost some big stars to their American League rivals along the way, namely, after the 2019 season, they lost right-hand pitcher Garrett Cole to the Yankees in free agency. After the 2020 season, they lost center fielder George Springer to the Blue Jays in free agency. After the 21 season, they lost shortstop Carlos Correa to the Twins in free agency. Fortunately, talented players like Framber Valdez, Jeremy Pena, Chas McCormick, Jordan Alvarez, and Kyle Tucker have filled the void fairly nicely. So congratulations to the Astros.
What a turnaround for the Astros. I mean, we're talking about, 3 years ago, embroiled in this, trash can controversy and all that stuff. And you know what? I have to say, I really respect them just because you come back from all that and you just shove it down everybody's craw and win it again. And I've always said I don't think the Astros needed to cheat the first time. They were a really good baseball team who were more than capable of winning the World Series, and I think that's what made it worse. It's like if you're a team that can't win it and you cheat, at least you tried.
Yeah.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying. But they didn't need to do that then, and so
they didn't.
For them to come back and prove that, I think was important for them. I think it was important for baseball too.
I agree. It's important for baseball.
And cool to
You
see.
know, from a franchise standpoint, what a great move that was for them to go from the National League to the American League. You remember those? You remember those days in the National League where the Houston Astros, and they were, I think, weren't they the Colt 45s before the Astros? I don't know, but they were just bottom dwellers.
And
they went over to the American League, and I mean, it was no time till they just turned everything around.
True.
Here they are.
And a lot of the kids that they're winning championships with now, the Jose Altuves, the Alex Bregmans, homegrown kids, they've done a really good of drafting and developing, and I think that's part of what has made them such a good franchise.
Yeah.
Well, Joey Logano collected his second Cup championship Sunday in Phoenix. His first came in 2018. It was championship number, get this, number 43 for Roger Penske in different forms of motorsports. 43 championships.
Unbelievable. And he won the IndyCar championship this year with Will Power.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Coy Gibbs, 49, son of Joe Gibbs and vice president of JGR Racing, died Sunday morning just hours after his own son, Ty Gibbs, won the Xfinity Series championship. No details concerning his cause of death have been released. Pretty sad. This year's version of The Match is coming up soon, and as usual, features some big names. The 7th version of The Match will be a 12-hole competition under the lights at Pelican Golf Club in Bel Air, Florida. Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy will team up to take on Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth. The previous 6 versions of The Match have raised almost $33 million for charity and donated more than 27 million meals through Feeding America, the name of the program. Version 7 will benefit Hurricane Ian relief efforts. TNT will air the live broadcast. Jimmy Johnson will return to NASCAR in 2023 in an ownership role at Petty GMS Motorsports. He will also compete in select Cup Series events as a driver. You can't get rid of him, can you, Mike?
No, he's going back to NASCAR, as an owner, and he's going to drive in about 5 races. And he wants to do Le Mans. He's got a, what do you call it, a check-off list or bucket list. And he still wants to do the double. He wants to drive an Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600. So he's still going strong, but
he sure is.
He will not be an Indy car next year. So we'll see if he goes to Indianapolis and whether he has a ride at Indianapolis. We'll see about that. But
I'd say he'll get one.
He's still got some fire in him.
He does, indeed.
Yeah. Well, good to see it. He's a popular guy.
I agree. He
popular
is
guy. Good
driver.
Great for the sport.
He is, indeed. Well, 3 Tennessee Smokies have been named to the 2022 Southern League All-Star team. They are third baseman Jake Slaughter, outfielder Alexander Canario, and outfielder Jonathan Perlaza. They combined this season for 67 home runs and 202 RBIs. Congratulations to those 3 Smokies.
And we're still blaming goatees and Brian Johnson for the Smokies not being able to win the Southern League Championship. Jinxed them. That falls solely on the shoulders of Brian Johnston, and I hope he's listening.
I'm sure he is. Well, that's all for this week's sports headlines. Let's turn our focus on the spotlight. Back to you, Gunner.
Okay, thanks a lot, Donnie. We're back with former Tennessee football coach Ray Trail, Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo-Aaron, and veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons. Let's talk a little bit about the playoff situation. It's all speculation now. It's all speculation, and everybody's out there. They're going to be scoreboard watching. They're saying, well, I think we're in. I don't know if we're in. But we got 4 weeks left, 3 weeks in the season, Coach Trail, and then we got playoff games that's coming up. And I'm kind of looking at this thing right here, and I think that Georgia, unless they stub their toe at Mississippi State today or at Kentucky or Georgia Tech, they're going to be number 1. They're going to have the number 1 seed. I can't see them, and that's if they win also the SEC championship game, and they'll be favored in that. Ohio State and Michigan, they're going to play it out, and they're going to play in Columbus this year, and the winner of that game, in all likelihood, is going to be in. I don't think we have any disagreement there around the country. Ohio State has Indiana left today. They got Maryland and they got Michigan. They don't have anything solid there. I mean, Indiana's not ranked. Maryland's not ranked. Michigan's the game. Now, Michigan, on the other hand, they've got Nebraska today, and they do play at Illinois. Illinois has got a pretty good football team this year. They could win the Big Ten West. Very good defensive team. That'll be a little test for them before they go to Ohio State. So they got 2 road games to finish up the year. So TCU, they've got Texas today ranked. They got Baylor, and they got Iowa State. And I think for them to get in, and Troy, you can comment on this, I think everybody's thinking they got to run the table.
They have to win out. They
They
have to
gotta
win
run the
out.
table.
You got to run the table. You got to win out. You got to win the Big 12. And if they don't do that, kick them to the curb. TCU ain't getting in.
Yeah.
Hook 'em horns.
Well, they've played. I think they've played around 4. I think this is their 4th ranked team that they'll be playing today. They're an impressive football team, Coach Trail. I don't know that I totally agree with Troy on this, but we'll see how it plays out. I'm a little bit bigger on these picks with divisional champions and conference champions. I think that if you're looking at a large bid, Coach Trail, I think you're looking at maybe 1 team out of 4 is going to be at large. I think the other 3 are going to be conference champions. I just think it's hard to put you in the playoffs if you haven't won the championship in your league. How do you feel about that?
I agree. I totally agree, and it's going to get interesting here the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
As to what goes on.
Yeah.
And how, just like this game right here today with the rain and the wind and everything else, it's going to be a different game.
Yep.
And, all over the country it's getting be different
Yeah.
things happening to you.
Yep.
And, but I agree with you. Georgia's, I think they pretty well got
We
it
got to
locked up.
understand that this playoff committee is not from the South.
No.
This playoff committee represents all areas of the country, and sometimes
They're not
they
from
can
the South?
they can get a little biased in them, particularly on their area. And I think a lot of them think, well, we got pretty good balance in college football. There's more parity in this football this year than I think there's been in previous years.
Mike, are you so sure that the committee's not from the South?
No, they're not from the South.
SEC's gotten 2 teams in every year
They
they've
are
had
not.
it.
They are not from the South. But I think we've got a little bit more parity across the country at this stage. Now, it may all play out.
I would agree.
Marcus, I want to talk about Oregon. Well, first of all, Tennessee's ranked number 5. They've got Missouri left unranked. They got South Carolina unranked, and they got Vandy unranked. They got no teams. They don't have anything right there. They're going to be hanging their hat on what they've done prior to this 3 weeks.
Yep.
Pretty much. I don't know what's going to happen with that situation. We'll see how it plays out there, but I don't think they're going any lower than 5 if they go ahead and win out. Oregon, I'm a little nervous about Oregon right now because Oregon is 8-1, and they've got Washington. I think they're 7-2 going into the game
number
today.
25.
They're ranked. They got Utah at number 14. They got Oregon State at number 23, and they got their championship game.
Which will be against
I'm
USC
saying
and
right
UCLA.
now, if they
win out, they may jump ahead of
if they win out, they're in.
They're in.
If they win out, they're in.
They're in. Southern California is another one out there. Now they've got Colorado, which is not a very good football team today, but they play number 12 UCLA in 2 weeks, and then they've got Notre Dame in the Coliseum out there. And if Notre Dame plays out the next 2 games, they're going to be probably about 13th in the country or 14th. So they've got 2 ranked teams, and then they're going to play another ranked team to win that Pac-12. So, USC is another player. UCLA,
same boat.
They've got Arizona, Southern Cal, and California. They've only got Southern Cal right there to impress. But if I'm sitting here as a Tennessee fan wanting to get in the playoffs, I'm a little bit concerned about Oregon especially and USC out there.
If one of those 3 teams wins out and wins the Pac-12, they're in.
Okay.
No doubt about that.
All right. Anybody got any disagreement on that? I don't have any disagreement on that.
That would give you Georgia, the winner of Ohio State, Michigan, and the Pac-12 champion.
Don't have
a one-loss Pac-12 champion. If one of those 2, if every one of those teams ends the season with 2 losses, they're not getting it.
Okay, I understand that. Now then, we're going to have to take a team in there at the at-large that's going to have 1 loss. Now that could be a 1-loss team. That could be either Michigan, or Ohio State, probably going to have one loss. TCU could possibly have one loss.
Yep.
There could be Mississippi.
Could be Mississippi.
Mississippi could beat Alabama today and win their next 2 games, and there they are sitting there out because they lost to LSU at 11-1, saying, "Hey, we're 11-1. We play in the Southeastern Conference. What about us?" I'm just throwing these scenarios out here because it could get real clouded, Coach Trail.
I think you're definitely right. I mean, the thing to me that hurts Tennessee is their last 3 games are just not. They don't carry any impact.
Mm-hmm.
If you win all 3 of them, it doesn't have any impact.
That worries me because, in the past it's always been, hey, show me what you've done in the last 3 or 4 weeks of the season.
Right.
Even in '98 when we won the national championship, what were we doing on the last weekend? We hadn't lost a football game, and we were sitting there going, now these 3 teams have got to lose, and what did they do? They all 3 lost, and we found ourselves in there. But if one of them had won, we wouldn't even have been in the deal, see?
No.
That worries me.
And that just you have these games like this right here. You would like for somebody to be a ranked team.
Yeah.
In there, really.
I think in the situation,
I think it's going to hurt us.
I think in the situation you play out there, Mike, if it's I'm gonna say Michigan, for example. Let's say Michigan loses to Ohio State. I think that's probably the most likely course of action. So that puts Michigan at 1 loss. Let's say TCU loses in the regular season but wins the Big 12, and then Tennessee finishes 11-1. I think the conversation there happens between Tennessee and TCU. I really just don't see a way in which a 1-loss Michigan is in the conversation, considering their schedule this year.
Yeah.
They've only beaten Penn State, they would have beaten Illinois, and they would have lost to Ohio State. That's 2 top 25 teams.
The only thing that would worry me about that is if Ohio State and Michigan went right down to the wire and they won it on a field goal or they went to overtime.
Yeah.
The committee's going to sit there and say, well,
the committee has
there's
already
not a
said
whole
they
lot
don't.
of difference. There's not a whole lot of difference in that.
The committee, for the most part, says that they don't care about margin.
Okay, well, I know what they say.
I just don't see it happening. I think it's very conceivable that a Big 12 champion with 1 loss, TCU, gets in over Tennessee. But if TCU loses in the Big 12 championship game and that's its 1 loss, and Michigan loses, Tennessee's the 4.
I don't want to be the real downer right here, and I don't want to put a dark cloud on all of what's happening down here. But I was here when Peyton Manning was a lock for the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
Do you remember that, Trail? We were all sitting here on the show going, it's going to be, we're just waiting to this afternoon when Peyton gets the award. There's no doubt about it. He's the best football player in the country, and there's nobody even close. And they've never taken a defensive player in history.
But they did.
But they did. That's what I'm saying. And and then in '98, we had to have 3 teams lose before we even got in there. Now let's throw this out. I mean, it's a mess right
I will
now.
just say this. In the case of a 1-loss Michigan that doesn't make the Big 10 championship game, or a 1-loss Tennessee team that doesn't make the Big 12 championship, just look at who they've beaten. Michigan's best win right now is against number 14 Penn State. You probably think that if they beat Illinois would no longer be ranked, so it wouldn't be a top 25 team at season's end. Tennessee has beaten number 7 LSU, number 9 Alabama, and currently number 24 Kentucky. They won't end the season
I don't disagree with anything that you're saying.
I'm just saying
there.
that Michigan will not be in the
I
conversation.
don't disagree with anything you're saying that right there, but you're going to have some 1-loss teams that's going to be politicking like politicking has never been done in your life. Yep. And you can talk all you want about Southern football and Southern football this, but there's other areas of the country that play football and they got votes.
Yep.
They got votes. That's the way it works. And there's politics. And when you got 4 teams and you got all this mess, you're into politics. It's just going to happen. All right, let's say this happens. Let's say
Michigan wanted to get in. They shouldn't have scheduled Hawaii, UConn,
Okay, let me finish here. Not done. Alabama, Ole Miss, LSU, technically still in it. Let's say LSU, they win their next 2 games, they're in. And let's just take anybody from the West over there. Let's just take Ole Miss or Alabama or whoever you want to throw in there. And let's say it's a 2-loss team or Ole Miss is in there and they beat Georgia. That team from the West beats Georgia. Now who do you take? Who do you take now, Troy? You take 3 teams because Tennessee's going to be the 3rd team in that deal. You can't leave the Southeastern Conference champion out of there.
I think it's a really hard. I do think that's a very interesting conversation. I do think LSU gets in over Tennessee in that situation. Tennessee beat LSU by 27 points. And like if you're sitting here saying, hey, Michigan State and Ohio State went close to the wire, you should consider them over Tennessee. Well, Tennessee beat the holy tar out of LSU.
Well,
I understand that.
I agree with you. LSU's getting in, but if that's the agreement.
But I understand that. But then if LSU beats Georgia, then Georgia's sitting there thinking, well, we need to be in because we beat you like a hound.
I agree.
The score was 27-14, but we really beat you about 4 touchdowns.
Barring Georgia losing to any of these teams at the end of the regular season, they're in. If they get to the SEC championship game, they don't even got to show up. They're in.
Well, you can't go by. Well, you look at Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia
got pummeled by Georgia.
Them,
yeah,
beat the tar out of them, 40-6 or something like that. I mean, how are they number 6?
It's not inconceivable either. We're sitting in this situation to think. Maybe it is because I don't know if Michigan, if Michigan were to lose to Illinois and then beat Ohio State in the next week. Then you're talking about a situation where maybe Tennessee the SEC gets 3 teams in. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's not inconceivable.
I think this is what worries me a little bit. Let's say Tennessee plays Missouri, South Carolina, Vandy. We win all 3 of those games, and we're 5. Oregon plays Washington ranked, Utah ranked, Oregon State ranked, and Troy's over, and everybody's saying, well, it's got to be who you play.
Yeah.
I'm moving Oregon to 5.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm moving Oregon to 5 right there. Marcus, you've been real quiet.
Oregon State no longer ranked.
You've been real quiet. Would you jump in here and straighten us all out?
Well, it's nice to. I mean, you can work a bunch of scenarios, but the thing is, it's going to play out.
It's going to play out how it has to play out.
And
every
week, this is a process of elimination. And what they don't want to happen is for this process to melt down before the TV deals are done and they can expand it. That's the goal every year. It's not to get the best 4. It's to avoid this thing melting down.
Yeah.
And you go back to, you mentioned it several times, but that first BCS year, that was the very first year of the BCS. And had those 3 teams not lost, would the whole system not have melted down right out of the gate? And we'd be in a playoff system right now with 16 teams.
Yeah. What I don't like about this to a certain extent, and Coach Trail, I don't mind to admit it, I'm a big guy, and winning your division, winning your conference, getting in the playoffs. I think that's really important to do that.
Oh, yeah.
And you go back and you say, and I'm thinking of the teams, the coaches, and the conferences you play in, and you go back and you say, well, the ACC's not any good, and the Big Ten's not as good, and the Pac-12's not as good, and the Big 12, they're not very good out there. But, it's not those coaches and kids' faults to a certain extent that they're not maybe as good, and we don't know. That's just what maybe the track record goes. But they don't have any control over who they play is what I'm trying to say.
No.
Those kids don't have any control. And if you're thinking, hey, I'm 12-1 and or 11-1 and we've been left out, that's not a real good feeling because you think you played because you've done a lot. To get to 11-1, it's hard to get there.
Oh yeah.
And
you got to have a lot of luck.
And listen, when we talk about Tennessee right now, everybody's kind of spoiled around here, and we're in a good position. Don't get me wrong. We're in a position where this team can finish 11-1, and we can all just kind of sit back and kind of watch it all play out. But now's the time for this team to make the move and go to the playoffs and get things done because there's no guarantee next year. Oh, no. Everybody's all fired up, but you got a new quarterback next year. You got to go to Georgia. You got to go to Florida. You got Texas A&M coming in here. It's probably going to be regrouped.
Oh,
you're talking about a whole different ball game. If you're talking about the future, Coach Trail, it's
now.
Right. It's now, buddy.
It's
like the Chicago Cubs. It's now or we're not. Right now.
The best thing Tennessee has going for it is Tennessee is fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
They are entertaining and fun to watch.
Good point.
And at the end of the day, those 4 teams are going to have to make semifinals. People want to tune in and watch.
Which they have not done
in
recent years.
They disguise that. They call it an eye test, but that's what eye test means. That is the cover for we want semifinals that are going to get millions of viewers.
And you got a Heisman Trophy candidate that's quarterbacking. But you've also got good quarterbacks on all these other teams that can draw too. And you're looking at TCU and you're saying, well, why would you put TCU in there?
Yeah.
But they got an exciting football team. They're putting up 40. They're doing the same thing Tennessee's doing. They're playing a lot of offense, putting up a lot of points, and people like to watch that.
Yep. We as players or sports writers or whatever, we try to look too deep into things that people out there have never done. They've never really studied the whole deal like we've done here, and they just go with the moment.
Yeah. I hope, and we've talked about this a lot, and in the other years it's all played out and it's all worked out. But if it doesn't all work out, we're right back to the way it was with the BCS. Feeding things in the computer and trying to figure out who's this and who's that. And maybe it's going to be better, when we have an expanded playoff and we don't have to worry so much about this.
I think we ought to have a minimum of 8 teams.
I agree.
Yeah. I think we ought to have a minimum of 8 teams because there's a lot of these teams that are going to come up, maybe have lost one game and had a great year.
Yeah.
And they're going to get nothing.
No.
Right now, if Tennessee doesn't move, they go 11-1 and don't even get in the SEC championship.
Right, and hadn't won a thing.
Yeah, hadn't won nothing.
I think ultimately Marcus brings up the best point in the fact that it'll play out how it's supposed to play out. You look at the 8 years that this college football playoff has been a thing. Only 3 times has it been filled out by 4 Power 5 champions. 3 times out of 8 years, it plays out how it's going to play out.
Now, I will say this for Troy. He's saying, well, they haven't played anybody. They haven't played anybody. Now, this is the same guy that was sitting here 1 year ago telling me Cincinnati ought to be in here. Yeah. And we're all saying, well, now who's Cincinnati played? Well, they're undefeated. They beat Notre Dame. They should be in the playoffs.
They did.
But who have they played, Troy?
Here's the other thing, though, Mike, that you're purposefully leaving out of that segment is that who was else in consideration for that playoff spot? The teams that were outside of that were Baylor, who was 11-2, Utah, who was 10-3, and Pittsburgh, who was 11-2.
Well,
there was no other team that
they played a lot better schedule.
It doesn't matter. They lost.
What do you mean playing a schedule doesn't matter?
Oh, here
Mike,
we go. Here we go.
Here's the thing. It doesn't matter who you play if you lose.
Okay.
I don't care who you play if you lose.
All right. You will admit, though, that Cincinnati didn't play the schedule as the other teams in the playoffs.
No, but they didn't lose. The other teams lost.
Well, you can't. Okay. All right. Well.
You mean if you go out here and schedule a bunch of people that's not very good and you win all games that you get as much
I'm not
else.
saying that. But I'm also not sitting here saying if you play Georgia 10 times and you lose to them by 5 times, you don't go, oh, we played the number 1 team in the country 5 times and only lost by 1 score every time. Nobody cares. Win the football game.
No, I agree with that. I mean, that's what I say. We sit here and we try to diagnose things. The average Joe out there could care less.
If Baylor wanted to make the playoff last year, don't lose to Iowa State. I'm sorry.
That's right.
No, well, I'm sitting here talking through all the scenarios.
Yeah.
And if I've got 5 Tennessee fans sitting there, they're all thinking I'm crazy because Tennessee's in. They're in. What are you talking about?
Tennessee is not in yet.
There's not any way that they can't be in to the normal Tennessee fans.
Tennessee is not in yet. They got They need some help.
Yeah. Hey, time for a break, and when we return, the panel presents the Shelter Insurance College Football predictions. You're listening to the Go Tees sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net.
Your newspaper, that's right. The Daily Times is your newspaper, tailored to where you live, emphasizing the things that affect you and keeping track of the people and players in our community. The award-winning Daily Times can be delivered each morning right to your door or inbox with the latest in local news and sports. For a 30-day free trial offer, call 981-1100 and begin enjoying your life, your times, every day with the Daily Times.
Dunkin' has what you need to conquer the day. So if you want to go from, I don't got this, to, I got this, well, then get this. A bold, smooth espresso drink from Dunkin'. Like a layered velvety caramel macchiato, a rich chocolatey mocha latte, or a creamy non-dairy oat milk latte. Because this day isn't going to conquer itself. No, you're going to do that. Take a sip of You Got This with Dunkin' Espresso drinks. Order ahead on the app plus earn rewards. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
Well, right. Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for the Panel Shelter Insurance College football predictions this week. Troy, I'll turn it over to you.
We're cooling off a little bit here because Mike and I are at odds here, but that's okay. We got a good thing. Let me pull it up. I'm sorry, guys. I'm all flustered now because Mike thinks Michigan should get in the playoff, and it's just absurd.
Did I say that? I didn't say that.
All right, last week. Can we give a round of applause? We haven't had many 5-0s this year. Marcus went 5-0 last week.
Good job, Marcus.
And 5-0.
Hey,
Nice job.
So
he took all the money.
Yeah, that puts him at 23-25 on the year. Mike Edwards went 2-3. He's at 26-22 at the top of the leaderboard. He's got a 3-game cushion here. Can't wait to see how he chokes this one away like Notre Dame's playing football. Ray Trail, you went 1-4 last week at 23-25. Donnie Moore decided to follow you, and he also went 1-4. He's at 22-26 on the year. And I'm in dead last, but I have cobbled together 2 straight winning weeks. I am making a comeback.
Well, it's the schedule you're playing.
It is it is the schedule I'm playing.
If you play a softer schedule, you know you'd do better. You're playing somebody's while you're where you're at.
The guy who picks the games has made it really hard on himself. All right, so we're going to open up with number 25 Washington at number 6 Oregon. A lot of these games have to tie into Tennessee's playoff chances, as I've done the last few weeks here. Oregon is a 13.5-point favorite at home in Eugene. Mike, I know you hate going first.
Oregon.
So you're going first.
Oregon.
You're going Oregon. Okay. Ray Trail.
Oregon.
Donnie Moore.
Quack, quack.
You guys are making me starting to question myself.
What's the spread, 13
13.5.
Could be raining out there. Rains a lot.
Does rain.
I think Oregon's going to win, but I'm going to say Washington.
You're going to say Washington?
I think Washington's going to keep it close enough.
Marcus, I'm with you. I think 13.5 is a lot, and it doesn't matter. You know what? You know what the nice thing about all this is, Ray, is I'm so far behind Mike in the standings. I can just say, well, I had to pick different teams to try and catch up. And these aren't even the teams that I would actually pick. I just have to try and catch up. I'm trying to win the darn thing. So I'm going with Washington. Okay?
Okay.
Not sure if I believe in them, but I'm going with Washington.
There you go.
Number 4, TCU at number 18, Texas. And everybody in the country, or Vegas apparently, does not like TCU's chances to make the playoffs because Texas is a 7-point favorite tonight in Austin, Texas at home. Mike Edwards.
Again? TCU is a good come-from-behind team. You know, they've been starting slow.
They are.
Could do the same thing tonight. I'm going with TCU to keep it perfect down there in Texas. It's going to be a really tough test for them. I'm worried about it, but Texas they just haven't impressed me, all year long. So,
you're telling me I picked Texas to make the playoff this year. Ray Trail.
I'm hoping TCU wins.
Okay. He's hoping.
Yep.
That's his pick. Hope. He's hoping. Donnie Moore.
The line is
Texas is a 7-point favorite.
This is Texas by 7. 7-point favorite. Oh, man. I'm hoping Texas will win the game, but I don't think.
You don't believe in Mullet Man Ewers?
I mean, this ain't rocket science.
No,
You just got to decide whether Texas can score 40 points or not. Can Texas score 40 points?
I don't think they can.
So you're picking TCU.
I'm going to pick TCU.
We need to give Donnie
Take
the
the
thing
points.
at the start of the show and let him concentrate on it.
Marcus.
And by the end of the show.
I already had it. I already had it.
I got a
I'm
coin
going
here.
to
We can just flip it for him. Flip you
Part
a
of
coin.
me says the fact that TCU's former coaches now on Texas's staff
Gary Patterson.
Yes.
would be an
Yeah.
advantage, but I just don't see Texas being good enough to keep up. So I'm going to say TCU.
I am also going with TCU, but I'm going to say it this way. I think Texas wins the football game today. I think all of TCU's come from behind, not play too well until the end of the game, comes back to bite him today. I think TCU covers the 7. I think they lose by 3 or 4, but I think Texas wins the football game today.
That may be, that's what I was trying to say.
All right, here's the hard one. This is the
hard one.
This is the hard one. Mike has been sitting up in his den all week trying to do the math on this one. When I told him this would be a game on Wednesday, he looked at me like I was a crazy man. But here we are, Texas A&M at Auburn. Auburn is a 1.5-point favorite in the battle of what Donnie Moore would call the mullets.
I quoted you on that. I gave you the credit on that one, Ray.
Well,
and Mike Edwards is doing. Mike, if you are watching on the Facebook, Mike Edwards is currently doing a deep meditation trying to find his answer on this terrible football game.
And both of those coaches are trying to find answers too, aren't they?
Who picked this?
It's a hard game to pick. They stink.
Right.
I think the athletic directors of both of those teams are doing a makeover there.
Mike, Auburn, a
I
1.5
can't
point
believe
favorite.
Troy's not saying these teams aren't very, but they've played really good schedules.
Yeah.
Look, let me show you who they've played. Let me show you who they've played right here.
Auburn, 1.5 point favorite.
I'm not. I tell you what. I've
Where's the
taken
game?
Texas A&M.
At Auburn.
I've taken Texas A&M till I'm blue in the face, and they've bit me every week.
time.
Every time. I'm taking Cadillac. Is it Cadillac?
Cadillac Williams.
Williams.
They're liking him. Those players are liking him, and I'm fans. I'm going with Auburn.
Ray Trail.
Auburn.
With Auburn.
It's going with Auburn. Donnie, I'm not even going to ask you. I know who you're going with.
War Eagle.
Marcus.
I just got to think, when is the last time we had 2 SEC teams come in with 5-game losing streaks besides Kentucky and Vanderbilt playing each other?
It's been a long time. And here they are.
And you
Both
put it,
teams,
and you're making us pick it.
because it's an impossible game to pick. You don't like the confidence in any of them.
I have no confidence, but I'm going to take A&M.
Jimbo Fisher needs to pay Texas A&M instead of the other way around.
I think Texas A&M has the most talent. I think that Auburn has the best coach. I do not know how to pick this game, but again,
No.
Mike Edwards picked Auburn. I have to pick A&M to try and get back in this thing. But I will tell you, I'm going to take a line right out of Mike Edwards' book. I do not like this pick.
No.
I do not like this pick one bit.
And you know what? I don't even think the crowd will be a factor today. Do you?
Oh, nobody's showing up. Yeah, I didn't have to say it was at Auburn. Nobody's going to be there.
They're going to put crowd noise on the microphones up there, blasting
All right.
across the stadium.
Bounce back performance for Alabama today. Number 9 Alabama is a 12-point favorite at number 11 Ole Miss in Oxford. Mike.
Man, I'll tell
That's
you what.
tougher than it sounds.
It is. It's tougher than
I'll
it
tell you what.
sounds.
Alabama was a 13.5-point favorite last week at LSU, and they just stunk it up.
They did.
Ole Miss runs the football.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they run it. They're going to control the clock, and you know, Alabama's back to the wall. What is it? How many points?
12.
12 points. I don't know. I'll take Alabama.
Ray
That
Trail.
puts me Alabama and Auburn. How about that for picks? I got the whole state covered. You got anybody else in Alabama playing?
No.
Troy stay playing today. Troy stay.
Ray. You got Donnie Moore syndrome.
It's tough.
I'm like Alabama and Ole Miss. You know, I'm gonna pick Ole Miss.
He's going with Ole Miss. Donnie Moore.
I'm going to ride the lane train today.
Marcus.
It's just a no-win pick, but
you're right. It's not.
I'm going to say Ole Miss.
Okay.
You ought to pick Alabama because all the Tennessee fans will love you if you pick Alabama because they need Ole Miss to lose for sure.
I don't know how many times I have seen Alabama put up 2 stinkers in a row. Nick Saban gets them ready today, and they beat Ole Miss. Handedly. I think Bryce Young gets it together, and Bama beats them.
Well, if they lose today, they are definitely out of it.
They might have to fight. The hot seat might warm up.
Yep. Yep.
Missouri at number 5. Tennessee is how we'll finish it. Tennessee, a 20.5-point favorite tonight, or today, as we kick off in 2 minutes. Mike Edwards.
It's senior day. I don't like the rain out there. I don't like, they're not on artificial turf. They're on grass, and it's going to be raining. It's going to be cold. It's going to be windy. And, last week, Ohio State at Northwestern, it was miserable up there.
And it was ugly.
Yeah, it was
Mike
ugly.
Edwards and Edwards loves Drinkwitz. He loves him.
I'm gonna, and I have always voted this year against Tennessee in the spread, and I've won just about every one of them. But I'm going to take the Vols today, senior day, come back out off of Georgia, get back on track. I'm taking Tennessee and the 20.5 spread.
Ray Trail.
20.5 in the rain.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Missouri.
Fool's gold. Marcus Fitzsimmons.
Missouri.
Donnie Moore.
Yeah, the Vols play well today. I'm going to take Tennessee.
I'm taking the Vols as well. I don't think Missouri scores 7 points. So 27-7 will get it done. 28-7 will get it done.
I don't like any of these picks, do you? I don't like a one of them.
I don't know where he digs these people
I don't know.
up.
I want next week. We should pick the game.
Yeah.
We should pick the games we're going to go on next week.
Mike, read us off.
Huh?
No, you're up and then Donnie. You're up and then Donnie blows the whistle.
Oh. Hey, that'll do it for today's edition of the Goatee Sports Page. Thanks to Aaron Ishmael at Loud Media, our host, the Blue Tick Tavern, and all our sponsors. For Donnie Moore, Ray Trail, Marcus Fitzsimmons, Troy Provo Heron, and the Florida State Seminole, Brian Johnston. Until next Saturday, this is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, wishing everyone good sports.
And that's the final whistle. Join us again next Saturday for the Goatee Sports Page. The best in local sports since 1978.